Shalom, Chaverim. It's time for yet another Heartfelt Haftarah. And in this particular case, we are going to be looking at the Haftarah of Ki Tavo as we come into the High Holy Days. We're getting a more expansive view, much as you're probably noticing the more expansive view on my camera. That's because Bob informs me I've been using the wrong camera. And now that I'm on the right camera, everything is much more panoramic and the colors are clearer and it feels sharper. And all right, and that's exactly what's happening with our Haftarah. So this particular Haftarah is moving on to the to Isaiah 60. Once again, it is meant to inspire us, to comfort us. It's not directly connected to the Torah portion, Ki Tavo, though I don't think any of you would be unable to find some kind of connective tissue between the Torah portion and the Haftarah. That's not really what's going on here. We're really focusing on themes of comfort and inspiration as we enter into the High Holy Days. Now, in terms of tent peg things, you should be aware that there is a theory, uh, as there's always a theory, there is a theory that says that not only are there two Isaiahs contributing to the 66 chapters of the book of Isaiah, but there's a third Isaiah, or Trito Isaiah. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, in this theory, it says that chapters 60 to 66, they take on an entirely new voice again, and therefore the theory goes that this is a third Isaiah, someone else writing under the name of Isaiah, sharing something inspiring to us. Uh, I think it's plausible argument. I also think it's a good argument that Deutero-Isaiah could have his style evolve. Anyone who has ever looked at the original almost photorealistic art of Picasso and then look at his later works realizes that Picasso has evolved as an artist over time, and it's entirely possible that Deutero-Isaiah stylistically has also evolved. So the jury is out on whether there's a third Isaiah, but that's not important for us. What we're really thinking about is the message here. And so I'm going to share with you part of this, and you will get a sense of it. Now, it goes on for quite some time, and there's a lot about camels and gold and silver and kings, and the idea that the people will find themselves uniquely elevated in the Messianic era. That's the message, that we are going to enjoy the gratitude and the admiration of the other nations that currently despise us once the Messiah has come. And that certainly is a comforting idea. But I'm particularly going to call attention to the fact that this language, these images that Isaiah uses, do not disappear simply, or they do not remain within the biblical text. They keep coming back to us in new and different forms. So I'm going to call attention to this first opening series of passages, and then I'm going to remind you where you've heard this before. Isaiah 61. Arise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of the Eternal is shining upon you. Though darkness may cover the earth, thick darkness the people, upon you the Eternal shall shine, and over you God's presence will appear. Nations shall walk towards your light, and kings towards your sunrise. Raise your eyes and see. They are gathering, all of them. They are coming to you. Your sons shall come from afar, your daughters born securely. All right, so at the heart of it is the idea that we may be scattered across the earth, we may live in exile, but a time is coming when we will return to Jerusalem, to the land of Israel, and that return will be celebrated, honored around the world. Some things like that have happened, even though we are still in the throes of anti-Semitism, and we see oftentimes people have very critical things to say about the nation state of Israel, but we've at least had a taste of that. But what I really wanted to call your attention to is the first line. Uh, you may not recognize it in English. You might recognize it in Hebrew. Kumi ori ki va'orech ukavod Adonai alecha zarach. All right, so those first few lines, if that sounds familiar to you, it's because it's one of the parts of the poem Lecha Dodi, which we sing frequently on Friday nights. And what has happened here is that the liturgist Solomon Alcabez, who wrote this poem in the 16th century, has lifted Isaiah's wording and put it into Lecha Dodi, and it has a hopeful messianic tone. It's just transferred from Isaiah to our Friday night liturgy. Arise, shine, O Jerusalem, for your light has come. The glory of the eternal is shining upon you. That's what we're celebrating on Shabbat. So this should sound very familiar, or if it doesn't sound familiar, you should probably come to Friday nights more often. We won't get into it. But in any case, there it is. And I just want to say there is another Jewishly derived element of this that has also been part of our culture. Now, it happened in the way back lands. It happened way back in the 1990s. But do you recall, if you're old enough for the 1990s, the movie Working Girl, right? It's about a young woman living in Brooklyn who goes over to Manhattan, and she becomes the personal assistant or administrative assistant to a terrible woman played by Sigourney Weaver. And when Sigourney Weaver disappears, as often happens, in fact, this poorly treated, underpaid personal assistant can actually do Sigourney Weaver's job better than she can, right? And is making all these good decisions and uh, doing all of this in her boss's absence. And she's actually improving the situation. Anyway, the story is not the important part. The important part is the movie's song, which is written by Carly Simon, who is Jewish, and I think she's the author of the lyrics. But in any case, she borrows another part of Isaiah 60 for her song, Let the River Run. All right. And also, it's known by the subtitle, New Jerusalem. And in fact, that seems to be quite deliberate. In this particular case, Manhattan apparently is the New Jerusalem. It's a little hard to imagine, but there it is. And so let's look at the lyrics and see the echoes, the homage to Isaiah in them. Um, we're coming to the edge, running on the water, coming through the fog, your sons and daughters. All right, so there we have the image of heading towards the light, going out of the darkness or the fog, and then the sons and daughters coming to the new place. And then the lines go on, let the river run, let all the dreamers wake the nation, very much in the arise, O you dreamers, arise, you nation, come the new Jerusalem. Now, I don't know what Carly Simon was thinking when she composed this, but she clearly had a sense of this particular chapter from Isaiah, because there it is. Nations walk towards your light, the king towards your sunrise. Raise your eyes and see. They are gathering, all of them. They are coming to you. Your sons shall come from afar, your daughters born securely. Now, Carly Simon has compressed that to sons and daughters coming to this location, apparently an office in Manhattan, but she calls it the New Jerusalem. So, what I want us to know as we enter into the high holidays is that what we do, what we learn, uh, the images and the lessons that come to us from these documents that are 1,000, 2,000, in this case, probably around 2,500 years old, still echo and resonate in our lives today. On Friday night, certainly through mystical poems, but also in popular culture. The image of returning or entering into Jerusalem as a kind of salvific uplifting experience. It appears in Hollywood movies, and the maskil yavin, the enlightened, will recognize how the language of the prophets are always with us. Whenever a politician makes an inspiring speech, or a poet composes an inspiring poem, or a popular songwriter creates a vivid and powerful popular song, uh, it's very likely that the voice of the prophets are there behind them. That's my message for this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.